It's exactly 1 p.m. East African time. Good afternoon. A warm welcome to KBC Lunchtime News. Many thanks indeed for joining us on this 19th day of February 2024. On a day that over 20,000 members of the Law Society of Kenya go to the ballot to elect the next president. We have that plus much more. My name is Njue. Many thanks for joining us. Lucy Mwaura now joins me on the sign language interpretation. Let's begin our live broadcast from Gikomba, where it is the headquarters of the Central Organization of Trade Unions, KOTU. And as you can see, my colleague Abdiaziz Hashim is on standby. And why is that he is interviewing Dr. Francis Atwoli, who is a SecGen of KOTU, in regards to the Nairobi National Government Partnership that was signed on Monday by the head of state and Nairobi County Governor Arthur Johnson Sakaja. A warm welcome to you, Abdi. What more can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you too. Indeed, you have rightly said, Njue, currently here at the KOTU headquarters, where the boss himself, that is Francis Atwoli, has just addressed members of the Fourth Estate. He is the latest voice to add on the cooperation that was signed by Nairobi County Governor, that is Johnson Sakaja, as well as President William Ruto, just to get a point of his view, what he thinks about the agreement itself and how it will benefit Nairobians, given that the trade unions represented here by KOTU is under a number of them. And of course, protecting their rights is one of his mandates as the Secretary General of the Central Organization of Trade Unions here in the country. Francis Atwoli, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Kindly tell us, you have talked about extensively the deal between Nairobi and the national government. Is it a good deal?
That deal was overdue. Because once, and I want to thank the governor of Nairobi, being a gentleman and going to the national government, telling them, please look here, there is inability for us here to provide essential services to Nairobians. Kindly come in and assist. That is how it should be. I've been a lone voice on Nairobi issues. I've been talking all the time that let Nairobi be in the hands of national government. Big cities where there is a seat of government like Nairobi, they are manned by national government. The city of Washington, D.C., that is by the government, and so many others that are managed and taken care of by government, including the smallest city of Kigali in Rwanda, in Eastern Africa. It's manned by government. The smallest country with very few, less than 100,000 citizens, which is Seychelles, is run by government. So you cannot, apart from those districts, that's where we have MPs, members of parliament. There are about 26 or 22 members of parliament, and about nominated are almost less than 30. Parliament, it has less than 30 members of parliament. But then go there, it is the cleanest city in the region, in East Africa. Go to Arusha, see how Arusha clean is. And the government has developed interest in it. And if you go to Arusha's sister town, that was Nakuru, those cities were started by settlers during colonial time. At the same time, Arusha appears more cleaner than even any of the cities or towns around East Africa, because the government has put in its own hand simply because that is the headquarters of East African community. And what we are saying is that let Nairobi be taken up, because Nairobi now has grown, it's too big. I grew up here. It's now more than 300 kilometers square, and no any governor can manage it on its own. It will require a lot of resources, a lot of planning, a lot of vehicles to collect garbage, and also so many workers at the side of managing our parks. We used to have very clean parks in Nairobi, and water section. Also, it requires national government to manage water, because hotels and every essential services that Nairobi requires should not fail simply because the governor of Nairobi can't manage, or the Nairobians themselves are unable to reach out to the governor and make sure that those services are provided. So that is why it should be taken over by government. We have parliament here, we have big hotels are here, all guests who want in East Africa. Nairobi is the satellite of economic activities, and we are getting visitors on daily basis. And even tourists, before they go to at Coast or they go at Masai Mara, they land in Nairobi first. So it must be clean. We must remove hawkers on Mombasa Road. We must make CBD clean. We must remove matatus and riders from the city so that the city remains clean without hawkers and so on. If you go to Addis Ababa, they have succeeded in doing the same. Go to Ivory Coast in Abidjan, they have succeeded doing the same. Go to Abuja in Nigeria. Abuja is not chaotic, very well organized city. And Nairobi cannot be exceptional because visiting us, what he sees at the airport and on Mombasa Road depicts the picture of what Kenyans are. And we don't want to be classified as people whose economy is not performing. So that is why we are supporting the agreement between the Nairobi County government and the national government.
Okay, maybe finally, before I let you go, given that millions of Kenyans are watching you right now, you do know the increment of NSSF will be starting to be instituted in the pay slips of employees and the employers themselves. Maybe as Kotu boss, given that your voice is very pertinent to this particular issue, in just 1 minute, what are you telling employees of this country?
That is their savings. Because when they retire, they need to go home with something better than what they used to go home with. People used to go home with 40,000 shillings. 40,000 shillings is just a ticket from here to Mombasa or to Western Kenya. And it ends there after having worked for 20, 10, 30 years. But now somebody will go home with a sizable number of money. And not only that, what we are pushing on, we want all Kenyan workers to be pensionable. You get your lump sum and you remain on pension, so that you have money until you expire to exist. That is where we are going, to reduce poverty amongst the people who have retired and people who have worked for a long time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And of course, there you have it, Kenyans. We've just heard from Kotu boss, that is Francis Atwoli, on a number of issues on the Nairobi and the national government deal, where he supports that particular deal and says at the end of the day it will be beneficial not only to the traders but to the residents of Nairobi County. Also on the NSSF increment, you've just heard what the Kotu boss has clearly stated, that those savings are your savings at the end of the day. But we'll file a comprehensive report in our subsequent bulletins. For now, I hand you over back to Njue.
Thank you, Abdiaziz, and many thanks indeed for bringing us up to speed in regards to the views of Kotu Secretary General in regards to the NSSF. But without diluting that, allow me just to point three things that he has mentioned. The deal was overdue and talks about the partnership with better provision of services, especially in Kenya's capital, which is more or less the regional hub for East Africa. And lastly, it will be a game changer. Talking about many capital cities managed by the national government as opposed to the county governments. And he has also weighed in on the NSSF debate. Remember, the deductions were going to be increasing end of this month. And he says, at the end of the day, it's your money, your savings. More on that, as Abdi has said, in our subsequent bulletin. From Gikomba, right here in Nairobi, to Kajiado, where Public Service and Special Programs Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Roko has said the government has rolled out both emergency and long-term measures to cushion vulnerable households from the impact of drought. Speaking after touring Kajiado County, Roko said food distribution, water tracking, and livestock support programs have been intensified in arid and semi-arid areas. Roko also highlighted ongoing investments in water infrastructure, early warning systems, and climate-smart agriculture to help break the cycle of recurring drought.
Vilevile niseme serikali ya Mheshimiwa William Ruto imehakikisha kwamba hakuna Mkenya yeyote ataaga dunia kwa sababu ya kuwa na njaa. Kwa hivyo tumepanga mipango ya chakula ya watu, tumepanga vile mpango ya chakula ya mifugo katika kona zile ambazo mifugo inataka chakula.
From drought mitigation to some politics, where a section of leaders is appealing to the united opposition leaders to call off their planned nationwide protest on Friday. Embu Senator Alexander Mondigi is instead appealing to DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua and his counterpart to instead embrace dialogue.
Speaking at a burial in Igumori location in Bere South constituency, Embu Senator Alexander Mondigi said the opposition leaders' grievances should be addressed through dialogue without having to resort to protests.
Mambo ya maandamano haitatusaidia na mambo ya vita haitatusaidia kwa sababu tumempiri wakipigana nyasi inaumia na nyasi ni wale watu walitupatia kibarua wa kipindi hii ya miaka 5.
This as Sultan Hamoud of Aulihan community threw its weight behind Nurdin Mohammed Ibrahim as the deputy governor of Garissa County in the run-up to the 2027 general election.
I felt there is a lot of need for us to come up so that we can be able to see if we can be able to make changes with regards to now the way politics has been done previously. This is a new blood, we are a new generation, and we need to come up with our own solutions.
Meanwhile, the national government has announced the allocation of 700 million shillings for the expansion and upgrade of Kilgoris Level 4 Hospital, with leaders being urged to put aside their political differences to facilitate the provision of between 30 and 50 acres of land required for the project.
Na nashukuru kuna viongozi hapa ya Kilgoris. Ile shida sasa tuko nayo na mnajua ile shida tuko nayo hapa inatakikana 10 to 30 acres ya kujenga hiyo hospitali. Hatutajenga hapa hata kubandika vitu hapana. Twende tuanze kitu impya from scratch. Wacha hii tutajua vile tutafanya lakini tuanzishe from scratch. Sasa hii maneno ya kuweka kiraka itakuwa kweli. Ati hapa tuweka matane sijui hapana.
Finally, a section of women leaders from Meru County have declared their support for Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, urging that he retains his position ahead of the 2027 polls.
Na leo siku ya leo tuko hapa kusupport mtoto wetu na ndugu yetu Kindiki, Deputy Vice President, na tunasema sisi tuko nyuma yake na tuko nyuma ya mheshimiwa our President William Samoei Ruto.
Tunataka kuambia wale watu wanafuruga Deputy President wetu wamkome kabisa.
Sisi kama wamama tuko na yeye na tutamchunga kwa sababu uchungu wa mwana aujuaye mzazi.
Moving on, the Government Delivery Unit has urged contractors and implementing agencies to strictly adhere to approved timelines, uphold quality standards and work with local administrators in implementing government projects. Speaking during an inspection tour of government projects in Taita Taveta County, the acting head of the unit, Orlando Sitati, urged contractors to work with local administrators to address land, security and logistical challenges. Sitati said the government is focused on accountability, coordination and result-based performance, pledging to continue monitoring progress of projects. During the visit, they inspected, among others, road projects, visited the Taveta affordable housing project, and assessed the Mwatunge Economic Stimulus Program market as well as the Voi ESP market. They also toured the Ikanga airstrip in Voi.
Hayo yote yametatuliwa na tumeambia wewe mwanakandarasi ukifika mwisho wa mwaka huu akuwe tayari ametimiza haki kwa wananchi.
Moving on, a section of Githurai traders in Nairobi County are decrying the demolition of their structures, which were erected along the Thika Superhighway. The traders woke up on Thursday to find the structures flattened a week after the Kenya National Highways Authority issued a 7-day notice to all roadside traders along the Thika Superhighway, Roysambu and Githurai sections to vacate the road reserve. They are accusing the authority of destroying their livelihoods, calling for compensation.
Sights and sounds of iron sheet collapsing, timber being dismantled, and seemingly frustrated traders. These were the scenes at Githurai roundabout in Nairobi Thursday morning as traders woke up to find their makeshift business structures flattened. Officials from the Kenya National Highway Authority and security officers are said to have overseen the demolition of the makeshift kiosks and metal stalls to pave way for the construction of bus bays along Thika Superhighway. For many affected traders, the structures were more than just stalls. They were their key source of livelihood.
Saa hii rente ni mwezi wa pili ndio imeanza, hata fee yenyewe hatujalipa. Saa hii uchumi iko juu, Mahali tulikuwa tunategemea kurauka kila siku kupata riziki, hakuna kitu tunapata.
The traders also claim that the demolitions were carried out in a hurried manner without adequate consultation, leaving them stranded and uncertain about their future, despite a 7-day notice for them to vacate. Affected traders are now calling for compensation for the losses they have incurred.
Mimi ninauzaga melon na waru para chini ya kwamba nilipata sikuwa sishamodwa kama uji, hata sijui nitafanya nini, sijui nitaanza wapi.
Joseph Wahungu for Lunchtime News.
And to a related story, Homa Bay County government has announced plans to demolish illegal structures erected along waterways in a bid to clear the region's drainage systems and restore proper water flow. According to the county's municipal manager, Sigar Agumba, the area has for long grappled with poor drainage system, which continues to expose residents to various climate-related risks, including perennial flooding. Agumba, who spoke during a public engagement forum, urged the locals to embrace mitigation measures to avert potential tragedies in the region.
Yeah, we do understand. In terms of soft-lying kind of intervention, we will be having monthly general cleanups, bringing a number of partners together. That is well domained in the municipal charter in terms of partnership. So this will help us always clear up the filled-up kind of drainages moving forward. And within our budget, we have leveraged a bit of some budget reallocation that will help us now periodically, yearly, complementary to what we'll also be getting from other potential partners.
We know that Homa Bay town is changing very rapidly, and we want the effort of each and every person within the municipality and within Homa Bay town to help us so that we have a clean and a very well conducive municipality and town where people can work, where people can live, and also where people can do business.
To matters health now, Kenyans seeking specialized treatment abroad will now be eligible for coverage under Social Health Authority (SHA), but only after meeting strict new requirements. The government has gazetted guidelines aimed at ensuring patients first exhaust available local treatment options before traveling overseas. Principal Secretary for Medical Services, Dr. Ouma Oluga, says patients must first get approval from at least 2 local doctors to confirm the treatment is not available in the country. He says the move will improve accountability and patients' follow-up.
If you have any of that diagnosis and the doctor has confirmed, then we write a letter and the Social Health Authority supports it. What we have a challenge with is that there are Kenyans who are also going abroad and their conditions can be treated here locally, because we also want to develop our healthcare system.
Moving on, tension is rising in Lamu County as farming and herding communities clash over land resources. Residents say the dispute, which worsens during dry seasons, is driven by competition for both pasture and water. Herders claim that more than 80 livestock have been killed in suspected retaliatory attacks in less than a month. Farmers, on the other hand, accuse herders of allowing animals to graze on farms, destroying crops and affecting food production. Community leaders say unclear land boundaries and ownership disputes are the main cause of the conflict and are now urging authorities to find a lasting solution.
Kuna kitendo mpya ambaye sisi tumeshangaa, watu wanachukua yani akiona gombe akipitia karibu ya shamba yake wanachukua banga, anakatakata, anawekea sumu. Sasa hiyo ni kitendo mpya kwetu sisi.
Ngombe zinataka chakula. Na mimi mkulima naangalia ule mgomba wangu, ule muhogo wangu bado kama mwezi mmoja nianze kuchimba nile, inakuja inapelekwa chini kabisa. Kwa hiyo kusema ule ukweli, sote ni binadamu. Tunapendana sote kweli, lakini kama mkulima pia naomba serikali ituletee suluhisho.
Fanya public participation mahali kuna grazing corridor na wafugaji, iwe wafugaji walishe huko na sehemu zingine wakulima wabaki sehemu zao.
Madhumuni kwetu hii serikali gatuzi ni mambo yetu tuyatatue sisi wenyewe. Hatuna tena nafasi ya kulaumu central government. Nafasi yetu ni sisi tukahakikisha kwamba mambo yetu tumeplan sisi wenyewe. Tukiharibu ni sisi na kutengeza ni sisi.
In other news, the Nairobi County government has called for increased investment in the tourism and hospitality sector as a crucial step towards addressing the bulging unemployment levels within the county. Nairobi woman Member of Parliament Esther Passaris urged investors to tap into the city's cultural diversity, urban appeal and outstanding global profile to expand opportunities in the sector. Passaris, who spoke during the unveiling of the Icon Hotel, maintained that increased investment in hospitality infrastructure will not only create employment for young people but also strengthen the sector and its contribution to the country's economic growth.
For suppliers, revenue for the city, confidence for investors. Hospitality is one of the strongest indicators of economic health.
As a soft opening, we have 50-60 staff as of now with us. We'll be recruiting more than 150 to 200 staffs here. So there will be more employment for all the Kenyan citizens here. We just want to concentrate more on core values, more on luxuries, not only for the standards and the star hotel standards. We just want to blend African culture into the hospitality so that we'll be more successful and we can cater more the African clients and they'll be more happy.
The national government has warned contractors handling public projects to complete them within the agreed timelines to ensure citizens benefit from the developments. Deputy Head of Public Service Amos Gadesha raised concerns over delays in key projects, including the Diani White House affordable housing in Kwale County, calling on the Ministry of Housing to address the challenges and ensure timely completion.
Ningependa kuwasihi kwamba tafadhali tukiwa na miradi vijana wachitokeze ili waweze kufanya kazi. Kwa sababu kama Kwale tumeenda polepole sana kwa sababu hatukuwa na wafanyikazi wa kutosha.
We only wish that each one of the contractors remains within time because next year, as you know, we have an election and the election brings a lot of disruptions. But generally, we are happy by with what we have seen.
Now, a major climate research project has been launched along the Indian Ocean aimed at boosting the ocean's natural ability to absorb carbon dioxide. The project tests ocean alkalinity enhancement, a technology that involves adding natural alkaline minerals to accelerate carbon absorption and examining how marine organisms, especially planktons, respond to adjusted alkalinity levels. The study brings together the Technical University of Mombasa, TUM, the Geomar Helmholtz Center for Ocean Research, and the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institutes. Scientists say the findings will help determine whether the technology safety and its potential to generate high-value carbon credits.
Currently, we are about 17 countries and all continents are actually covered. And this experiment here in Kenya, it's one of the it's actually the first experiment on ocean alkalinity enhancement, aiming to understand what are the environmental impacts once we add alkalinity into the ocean.
Technically, as it is, we have excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Even if the world stops generating or emitting carbon dioxide, we still have a problem.
In other news, Ndaragwa Constituency National Government Development Fund and the State Department for Housing and Urban Development have teamed up to construct a 346 million shillings modern hostel at Aberdare Teachers Training College. Speaking during the handover ceremony, Area MP George Gashagwa said the facility will end the housing of students in corrugated iron sheets hostels, which are often extremely cold and inconducive for learning. He also emphasized that the project represents a significant step towards transforming the region through enhanced education infrastructure, youth empowerment, and improved public facilities.
It was quite shameful that I found a national institution with only less than 20 students, and I vowed that by the time 2-3 years are coming through, we'll be having more than 600 students.
We will not only have the classes completed, but we will have a hostel that hosts 680 students. By January, we are opening up with the new hostels. We will start with a borehole so that we don't have to go to the dam. We will also start with the road that will be done.
And still on education stakeholders in Migori County have urged the government to increase bursary allocations and consider consolidating existing funding schemes to support needy learners. The stakeholders highlighted that many academically gifted students from vulnerable backgrounds risk missing out on education due to financial constraints. In emphasizing the need to consolidate bursary funding programs, the stakeholders noted that it will simplify the application process and ensure easier access for students who genuinely need the assistance. They were speaking during a scholarship awarding ceremony in Oyugi Ogango Girls Secondary School in Migori County.
My mom wasn't able to pay my school fee for all of the 4 years, and my principal stepped in to help me. I did my KCSE 2024, and so she has stepped in to support me further.
We as a school, we are trying to identify them. Some we are reaching out to those who can help them. Some we are trying as much as possible to talk to their parents to see the need and even to pay in kind.
Amalgamating bursary so that it is being run from one source is a very good thing. However, it will depend on who is this that is going to be running the same.
And you find that some people who are in charge of these funds do a good job of actually setting up structures to identify students who need the help. However, others just don't do it. Some bursaries are distributed in manners that we don't even understand.
Very well, at about 27 minutes past the top of the hour, you're due for a fast break. But when I come back, I'll be informing you more in regards to both local, we make sense of business, and finally, I'll be telling you all about Arsenal versus Wolves, a match played last night. Let's take a quick break.
Welcome back to Semana Spokes from Nagava.
Semana Spokes is the platform where Wananchi engage, query the government, and the government responds. It's your time to be informed. Don't miss Bonga Nagava every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Semana Spokes.
The wrath of Mother Nature. 10 counties are on the brink, with over 10 million people in need of food aid. Livestock is dying, and children are being driven out of schools as drought batters the nation. We go beyond the headlines with reporters on the ground in Turkana, Wajir, Tana River, and Kitui counties for an in-depth look at the evolving humanitarian, economic, and environmental impact on communities across the country. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 on Thursday, the 19th February for a comprehensive news coverage on the drought situation in the country.
When did you start to marry kids?
When did I start?
When did you start to marry kids?
I don't marry kids. I marry mature women.
Who brought you that child, my daughter?
Who brought you that my daughter?
Hey, who brought you? Wewe ndio unakifanya vile unachua sana.
Sijifanyi.
Wewe ni pipi yangu.
Arda. Bana.
Anakuuliza wewe ni pipi yangu.
Mimi siwezi kuwa bibi yako.
Very good. Kuna mtoto yako tulipeana.
Si ni wewe ulikula deposit ya mtoto.
Si wewe na hiyo mtomo yako ukiniambia tuoze huu mtoto tupate pesa.
Mimi saa ngapi?
Kawela.
Mwazimiwa ngwaterake muntoke ngakiringa.
We mzee, mko na watoto wangapi? We na huyu bibi yako.
Tuko na watoto nani?
Na
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Moving on, the Kenya Medical Research Institute KEMRI strategy to recruit trainees who have completed secondary school to study scientific courses has resulted in the recruitment of 178 learners, with 12 others expected to join this week. Speaking to journalists in Kilifi Town, KEMRI Acting Director General Sophie Oyoga noted that the project is currently being implemented despite funding challenges. Kilifi County government will collaborate with KEMRI to seek more funds to increase the number of apprentices trained annually.
Tumepata vijana takriban 143 mpaka sasa wametuunga na kukaa na sisi kwa hiyo period ya miezi mitatu. And a good number of them, almost, I'd say maybe 10-20% are retained in the system. So changamoto ni pesa. Kwa sababu wakikuja kukaa na sisi lazima tuwapatie stipend kila mwezi. So huwa tuko na budget. Na budget zetu zimetufinya, so tunaweza kuchukua tu wanafunzi 12 kwa sasa.
Na ningesi vijana wetu ni kwamba wafanye masomo ya STEM. Manake kule tunakoenda tunataka researchers, kule tunakoenda tunataka vijana wa kubuni vitu tofauti tofauti. We are going to a world of innovation.
Well, time to make sense of shillings and cents in business. Kenya plans to raise 51 billion shillings in the next 5 years for small-scale irrigation. Irrigation Principal Secretary Fantas Kemodo says part of the funds will be for onward lending to small-scale farmers to access irrigation equipment.
Kenya targets to increase the acreage under irrigation to 1 million acres in the next 4 years to boost agricultural production. Irrigation Principal Secretary says only 4% of agricultural land in Kenya is under irrigation, even as smallholder farmers grapple with limited working capital to acquire irrigation equipment.
Most of these actually we are targeting the ASAL counties. They actually have the biggest potential. Of the 2 million acres I've talked about, most of that is actually in the ASAL counties. An example, a place like Mandera County, we are currently mapping over 400,000 acres. In Tana River County also, we've also marked another big chunk of it.
The government plans to raise 51
the right financing and structure
to acquire irrigation equipment.
We want to access climate finance. Climate finance, because this irrigation is a climate mitigation aspect. So climate finance will enable us access cheap concession funding, which by extension is what we are going to extend to our farmers.
The funds will also guarantee registered farmers acquiring irrigation equipment on credit.
The private sectors are normally driven by a profit venture. So to make this to make the equipment more profitable to the equipment supplier, who is the private sector, and also to make it affordable to the farmer, that's why we are bringing in the climate funding, which is coming as a concession of funding, which part of it is what will take 50% of the cost.
Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now, the COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission has commenced investigations into social media giant Meta of potential violation of competition regulations. The Competition and Consumer Watchdog said it is probing into Meta's amendment of its WhatsApp business solution terms in October 2025, which excluded providers of general-purpose artificial intelligence services from accessing or using the WhatsApp business application programming interface while preserving and preferentially integrating Meta's own AI service. In a statement, the regulator says the Commission was reasonable or has reasonable cause to suspect and does suspect that Meta holds a dominant position in the common market and that the amendment of terms is likely to substantially lessen competition in the common market by excluding artificial intelligence services providers from accessing WhatsApp, a crucial gateway to accessing their customers in the common market. The Commission has invited all interested stakeholders to submit representations by 16th of March 2026. Now, Airtel Africa is set to deploy the direct-to-cell technology as it seeks to grow its subscriber base in Kenya. Telco giant is trialing the technology, which uses terrestrial systems using advanced phased array antennas to act as cell towers. Many telcos are turning to the technology to reach far-flung areas and reach the masses. The telecom says Kenya remains one of its most strategic markets, with population coverage now standing at 91% and 200 new sites added over the past year. Airtel Africa Group CEO Sunil Taldar says expanding into remote and underserved areas remains a priority, noting that satellite backhauling will help bridge connectivity gaps while fiber deployment is not commercially viable.
We are making sure that we are constantly expanding our coverage. And as I said, we today cover 91% population in Kenya. To meet the growing needs of data needs of our customers, we are making significant investments in improving data capacity.
It's about innovation and simplifying, also keeping affordability in mind. So I think so we have made, as a country, as an industry, a lot of progress on interoperability. There are a few elements which are still left. At the same time, we're also working on increasing our own agent network in the country.
Other news, diversification and value addition are expected to improve earnings for beekeepers by more than 70%. Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives Wycliffe Oparanya says more than 80% of honey produced in Kenya is sold in primary form. Oparanya says value addition would help reduce the export of raw materials while boosting the export of finished products. Honey has several components such as bee venom, propolis, and beeswax. Speaking during the launch of Savannah Honey, Oparanya says the shift towards value-added products is critical, as these products can deliver significantly higher returns, occasionally making a single bee colony more profitable than relying on honey production alone.
With the right investment in value addition, quality assurance, and market access, our MSME can participate effectively in this global value chain.
Tumelaunch hii program na tutaenda kwa kaunti 40 tukifunza, tukiongea na watu na tukiwahimiza wakuwe wakulima wetu, ndipo tuwapea contract ya miaka 5 tuweze kuwanunulia hii venom.
In the Chaba we have also other activities, and we've seen greater pollination around with the other plants that are there. So we are happy that we are on the right track, and our harvest will get better as we move on.
And from honey to milk, Kenya is moving to a quality-based milk payment system to shift Kenya's dairy sector from volume-driven production to value-based earnings. The government says the transition will reward farmers for higher quality raw milk based on fat, protein, and low bacterial count. Already, the Kenya Dairy Board has rolled out a nationwide campaign aimed at training dairy farmers on how to improve the quality of milk through hygiene, proper feeding, and vaccination using the right veterinary medication. Speaking in Meru County during a sensitization campaign, the Kenya Dairy Board Regulatory Affairs Director Winnie Kemboi says the policy shift will boost dairy exports, enhance shelf life, and improve farmers' incomes. Under the new system, farmers will be paid using a bonus, standard, and deductions all based on quality tests. Meru Cooperative Union Chair Simon Kiroja says the training will boost farmers' earnings in the county. Kenya is a major milk producer in Africa, producing about 4.7 billion litres of the commodity in 2025. The country is targeting 5.2 billion litres of milk by the year 2027.
We are trying to have a training and conversation around quality-based milk payment, whereby the farmers are not only paid in terms of the volume of the products that they are producing, but also based on the quality of this milk that is coming into the factory for processing.
Tuko na wataalamu hapa leo na ndio wanatufunza umuhimu wa kutoa maziwa ambayo iko na quality na mkulima ajue maana yake ni nini.
There's a lot of investment required by the cooperative and the processors on this effort of quality-based milk payment. They have to invest in cooling infrastructure, they have to invest in laboratories and testing infrastructure. But once they do that, countries that have developed this system, over time, the intake of milk has grown up very high. More than 40%. Here in US,
farmers should check out for quality marks and sticker labels from the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, KEFIS, on seed packets to ensure they only purchase genuine products like planting season. Government agencies are collaborating with private sector players to sensitize farmers on how to flag fake farm inputs.
So definitely, yes, there is counterfeit, and we as an organization, as Bayer, we understand how counterfeit really impact on the whole area of food security, because already if you don't have the right input, starting from the seed, of course, your yield is totally compromised. And here we are today just telling the farmers, please make sure that you're scratching your seed, you're authenticating your seed.
Kila wakati nikienda kununua mbegu, huwa ninahakikisha na angalia zile codes, na wakati ni kitu yenye imekuwa, na wakati ukienda kupanda always unapata katika paketi pale, na hiyo ni kitu nimekuwa nikifanya. So mostly you buy from the right agrovet.
Time for the sports. We begin with the gentleman's game, golf, where betting firm Betika has injected 3.2 million shillings in sponsorship for 5 of Kenya's premier golfers who are set to feature in the 2026 Magical Kenya Open, a standout fixture of the DP World Tour, which will be held from today to the 22nd of this month at the Karen Country Club.
Kenyan amateur golfers will seek to show a grisly performance as the 2026 Magical Kenya Open commences at the Karen Country Club. Betting firm Betika has injected 3.2 million shillings as part of its sponsorship deal for elite amateur players. The sponsored lineup features Michael Karanga and John Lijama alongside seasoned professional CD Wangai, Samuel Njoroge and Justus Madoya. The 3.2 million shilling fund is designed to cover tournament preparations, endorsement fees and logistics. The 2026 team enters the tournament at the back of a stellar 2025 season. characterized by record-breaking performances.
A very good opportunity for us amateurs to come and compete with the pros. I think in our KAGC that we are used to, we compete against 3 of us, Regilma, myself and other 2. But now here there is a lot of competition, competing with, you don't know even who you are competing with because everybody is good.
John Najama arrives at Karen as a reigning 2025 series champion following a dominant year that included 9 tournament victories. He is joined by Michael Karanga, the first amateur to qualify for this year's Magical Kenya Open after a historic win at the 2025 Kenya Amateur Match Play Championship and successful title defenses at the Sigona Bowl and Kiambu Open. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
Further afield now to a disaster for both Arsenal and Arsenal fans. A Ricardo Calafiori own goal in the 94th minute gave Wolves a point as the English Premier League bottom side came back from 2 goals against leaders Arsenal at the Molineux Stadium and forced a 2-2 draw. The Gunners are now 5 points clear at the top of the table with bottom club Wolves on only 10 points.